L-I-L, man. J-O-E-C-O-C-A-M-O. Holla at me, man. Somebody want y'all to do for me on this one, man. Come on now, say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Y'all know me, L-I-L-J-O-E, same OG. Back in the club and I've been low key. Pass that drink, pass that weed. To the bar, let's get tipsy. You know Hennessy and ice on me. And I'm gon' get it straight bubbly with the free to the top in the VIP. So put them grands up, gon' put your hands up. Cleveland in here, I want everybody to stand up. We been drinking, the beats banging, so man up. And we sweating bad, so what the cut? Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said put your hands up, wave side to side. I said put your hands up, wave side to side. Put your hands up, wave side to side. Oh yeah, she wanna ride with a star tonight. No, she wanna ride with a baller, right? Oh no, she wanna ride with a hustler tie. All day, all night, with me, whole life. She wanna drop the top and talk that talk and walk that walk and make girls wanna model. She wanna sip out of Grey Goose bottles, ride good out of brand new Tahoes. Oh yeah, 150 on the throttle. Oh yeah, she's bad like hollows. Everywhere she go, they follow. Underneath her clothes is cargo. The riches of escargot. The riches of escargot. Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Come on, girl, get that cash. Come on, girl, get it fast. Make that man spill his glass. Make that man spill that cash. Come on, girl, break that bag. Then ride off in this jag. Make that man give you half. Revoke his ghetto pass. Hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. Yeah.
Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Jamaica, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. Is you serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men or should I say male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the her.
Really good, though. I'm doing that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society, podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stanis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
What's going on, people? Welcome to episode 138 of hashtag TFR Podcast Live. That's hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Replays on all your favorite podcast providers. The phone lines are open 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. The live chat is open on YouTube, the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you go there right now and subscribe to the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Smash subscribe, smash like, and share this video because we have reviews that save you pocket revenue, right? We want to shout out to all the people who are watching us on Periscope, Vimeo, and of course, on YouTube on the Film Review Live channel. Make sure that you smash the like button. So as usual, before we begin our situation today, reviewing films and bringing context to these films and saving you pocket revenue with our reviews, we have to start out with the blurbs of the week. And how was your week?
Well,
how was your week?
Interesting week.
Very interesting week.
Elections and, so it was a very interesting week. Condolences, to King Von, who passed away, as rapper King Von, as well as Alex Trebek. Grew up watching him on Jeopardy, right?
That's right. Alex Trebek. Let's put his picture up real quick because he brought education to the masses. So we do have to put his picture up for 1 second. Alex Trebek lost his fight.
Yeah, he had been battling cancer for years.
Pancreatic. In particular. So we want to definitely say condolences to his family, his friends, and I don't know how it could ever be the same, but I'm sure they made contingency plans over there in Jeopardy. So we should be seeing who's who next. Okay, people. So now let's get started with some memes, some interesting memes that I saw. Okay, this meme right here is talking about the person who posted this from off of the Las Vegas Black page on FB said, thoughts, should this be done in Nevada as well? So what does that say underneath there? It says, Oregon becomes the first state to decriminalize hard drugs like cocaine and heroin. Oregon becomes the first state to decriminalize hard drugs like cocaine and heroin.
I have
do you
a
think
question.
they should do that in Nevada?
Okay, so no. I have a question. But since Oregon is doing that, will they release people who are in jail or in prison doing time for having cocaine and heroin? Since it's legal there now, are they going to release the people that's doing time because of it?
Now that is a good question, right? Hadn't thought of it, but hey.
But yeah, definitely no, not out here.
I think that they should. I think they should. You want to know why?
Why?
Want to know why they should? They should legalize because that opens up for those different centers to go on the stock market. And remember, we talked about being able to
drug centers,
do those special stocks, right? And those special futures on hashtag observations TFR, and that's just part of it. So as they legalize and make cocaine,
right,
it gets to this next meme.
Okay.
As they legalize cocaine and heroin, it gets to this next meme right here.
Okay.
Will get people thinking this way. God often chooses unlikely people to carry out his plan because he looks at the heart and not human qualifications.
Okay.
God often chooses unlikely people to carry out his plan because he looks at the heart and not human qualifications. So as people begin to battle, they will get the Gideon Bible, and then they, at the treatment centers, and the treatment centers will go up on the stock market, and then people will be able to get shares. And so I think that they should legalize it, right? Which brings us to this next meme right here as we go through the memes. Getting your snit together requires a level of honesty you can't even imagine. There's nothing else about realizing you're the one that's been holding you back this whole time. Have a grand day. Getting your snit together requires a level of honesty you can't even imagine. There's nothing easier about realizing you're the one that's been holding you back this whole time. Have a grand day. What do you think about that meme?
I mean, that's a really good meme, but people don't really look at themselves. They don't look at the man in the mirror.
Got to look in the man in the mirror. Got to ask him to change his
Very
ways.
few people are able to do that. But most people can't see beyond,
They can't see beyond themselves. All right. Okay. So look, here's the next meme going along in this framework here. Keep doing the brave work of unlearning and relearning. We used this on the other show.
Okay,
but I just wanted to use this one here because I think it fits. Keep doing the brave work of unlearning and relearning.
That's a good meme, but again, very few will be able to do this.
That's why they're making cocaine and heroin legal so that people can escape. And when they escape, those different treatments will be put on the stock market, and then people can profit off of people's
misery.
That's right. That's right. Here's one. Because often people do not know the direction that they are headed in.
Okay.
And this is I call him Baby Yoda, but he's something else.
Yeah, I call him Baby Yoda too.
When people give directions like, then head north. Okay, Lewis and Clark. Do I turn at Chick-fil-A or go towards Sonic?
That's
right? When people give directions like, then head north. Okay, Lewis and Clark, do I turn at Chick-fil-A or go towards Sonic? Now, you know, it's really...
I'm better with landmarks. Just give me landmarks. Do I turn where the bank is, right across the street from the grocery store?
You know, I usually go by northeast, southwest myself. I'll look at a situation and see what runs parallel to what, and then I'll know where the sun raises in the east or sets in the west. But, you know, hey, for those who don't follow directions, that might be part of it. That's why they...
Okay, Lewis and Clark.
All right, so here's another one. How to change your life in 1 year. Okay. This is very important, people. How to change your life in 1 year. You see the theme. You hear the theme. It's a continuous theme here, right?
Right.
1, get rid of toxic people.
That's 1.
Yes. Okay. 2, stay committed even when things get tough.
Okay, that's good.
Like a magnum force. Rough. Like a new divorce. Mean. Like a 2-time loser. Bad. Like a LA crew. Anyway, okay, that's Curtis Blow. Shout out to Curtis Blow. All right. Stay committed to even when things get tough. 3, learn from your mistakes. 4, keep building your skill set. That is number
sound like
4 is of utmost importance, right? Keep building your skill set. 5, hustle in silence and let success make the noise. Bring the noise. Anyway. And number 6,
invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. It is the greatest return. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We went and looked at these memes because we had to cut through a lot of inertia that was happening to even find these memes. Now, this one these are psychological memes, and you need to smash the share button, like button, and let people know that we are on. These are psychological memes that should say something to you to help you in direction. Okay, so let's roll this away. Let them see the picture a little bit. Because so you see the fish behind him, right? And you see him. He has his fishing line and the pole on the opposite side of the pier, and he's got a question mark on his head, like, how come I'm not catching any fish?
Okay.
Sometimes you need to change the direction. Patience is not always an optional way. Sometimes you need to change the direction. Patience is not always an optimal way. Okay?
That's a really good meme.
That's a good meme. So sometimes you need to just change directions. And if you don't know northeast, southwest, you might be going still in the same wrong direction.
So, okay, what do you think about that meme? Because I have a thought.
Okay, go ahead. What do you think about it?
When I read that meme, it makes me think about Ice Cube, because I'm an observer. So I observed a few things during the selection, right? So Ice Cube is very intelligent. Okay.
Very.
So looking at that meme, because Ice Cube's, the investment that he put in for his family as well as fans and friends wanting the best for his community, he put together his platform, right? He got together with various academics in the black community. He also got with Tone Talks and Yvette Cornell, as well as other people, right? So he put together this platform. So he said, okay, he reached out to both the Democrat Party as well as the Republican Party, and he didn't meet with Trump. Anybody. Anyway,
he met with Kushner, Zoom call.
Okay, right. So he didn't meet with Trump. So when I keep reading stuff that said he met with Trump, I'm like thinking, okay, are you an idiot? When I read some of this stuff these people post. Okay, so someone from Trump's organization reached out to him. Someone from Biden's organization reached out to him and said once Biden is in office, then they would get together with Cube and look at his platform, right?
After, make sure you get your people out to vote, right?
Okay, so so now Biden is in office, and I'm
Biden's
sure
not in office yet. He's just elected.
Okay,
Still counting votes.
whatever, you know.
It's not in office.
So now I would assume that, you know, once Biden or whoever is sworn in January, right? They'll be reaching out to Ice Cube.
Yeah, because these first 100 days are going to be crucial.
So the thing is from reading that meme, sometimes you need to change the direction. Patience is not always a optimum way. So Ice Cube, what he did, wasn't just looking at the Democratic Party. He was looking at both parties, which is what an intelligent person would do in order to get your agenda taken care of, which is, you know, your platform for the black community, right? So there were, you know, a few people who were very intellectual and could understand where Ice Cube was going, right? Because if you have critical thinking skills, you understand where he was going.
Critical thinking skills.
Right. Okay, but then when I see like when I read something and see something on social media and, you know, calling him a sellout, you know, and I'm just like, and I'll read it and I'll see who it came from. And I'm like, this person has got to be an idiot. I'm like, do they know they're an idiot? Because it's clear as day, Ice Cube didn't say he was a Trump supporter.
Okay, yeah.
He didn't say he was a Biden supporter either. He was. This is something he was doing, a platform for his people.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, people often
are stupid.
They didn't like Martin Luther King when he was around, right?
Right.
They didn't like King when he was around, and you know, but whoever created this meme right here, right?
Okay.
Whoever created this meme
has got to be dumb as cat shit.
No. Whoever made this meme, and whoever laughs at this meme. Because whoever made this meme using Topsy and Bopsy, one of our #1 watched reviews,
right,
as just movie reviews, are coons. Sorry, if you created this, I'm thinking this must be a Russian bot that created this, but you're a coon. And if you laughed at this,
right,
because you're basically turning against black men, or it could have been women. You could have women up there. You're basically turning against American black people for a white man. That makes you a coon. So whenever anyone says anything to me about well, this and that and this and that and Biden won, I say, if you laugh at this, if you made this, if you laugh at this, you are a coon. Right. You are in meritorious manumission, meaning that you want some butter biscuits, and those butter biscuits must taste good, that you would turn against your own people for a white man. It'd be different. Like we talk about policy on both shows, on hashtag TFR Podcast Live and hashtag Observations TFR. We talk about policy for American black people. What policy is best, right? But if you sit up here and you just wanted to get out and vote and feel good, you never looked at any of the policies that the person is getting ready to put across, and you went against Ice Cube and Lil Wayne, and you know in your heart that you love these two dudes.
Maybe not if they're coon.
Women now, they.
Some people have self-hate going on.
No, wait a minute. They smacked Tupac's ankles with the rags when he was first coming, but cried like a baby in Cleveland when he died. So people can be dual in their minds at the same time. But what I'm saying is, you can be a coon, have liked their music still, but because you went against a black man for a white man, you are a coon. There's no other way. There's no other way to cut it.
Stupid.
There's no other way to cut it.
I mean, just stupid, because anybody that listened to Ice Cube on these various shows and platform, and he talked about his platinum plan, right? And he broke it down. So anyone that did not understand the words that came out of this man's mouth,
they're not stupid. They are either they're either under a spell. We talked about that on Friday's show, episodes 53.
Right.
The incantation that's been there under a spell.
Right.
But other than that, once you tell people that they are under a spell and all they have to do is just research it, if they don't, who they would love, look, they're trying to clip us, talking about quality ain't right. Look, they're trying to, they're giving us warning on everything.
No, but you know what I have learned is
YouTube.
There are not that many intelligent people, because if you don't know anything about, like you said, about bills, what bills are being passed,
or what bills were passed,
like if you don't know anything about politics, that goes back to a conversation that we had before. Should a person be allowed to vote if they don't know anything about politics?
I think that it's getting ready to be a thinning of the herd. And I think the very people that they put into, that are elect right now, are going to be the very people who thin out the herd, and the people who elected them not going to even know why.
So that's why they making all of these drugs legal. And
exactly, it's a game to make zombies, so they will be dormant and they will need these
easily
programs,
controlled.
and the programs get people paid, like Planned Parenthood gets people paid. Now, let's move on, people. Get you a teammate, not an extra bill. This came from James Foreman. Get yourself a teammate, not an extra bill. Which then brings us to the next piece right here, right? Which brings us to the last meme before we get to the movie reviews of the night. As we start out, this one right here, let me bring it up a little bigger so people can see it. Here we go. Let me read it. Let me read it so you can see it. For those that have shouldn't be there. For those that have found the one, no matter how old you both get, never stop holding hands, dancing and saying I love you. For those that at this time have not believed in this.
That's nice. That's true.
That's right. Right, so I thought that was a pretty meme, right? Because when you have that significant other, you are in a balance, right? Now,
and you should too, right? Every time, it doesn't matter how long you've been together, right? So whether that person left to go to the store or left out to go to work, or each time you see each other, it should always be a really good feeling.
Yes.
And you should always be happy to see one another.
All right, people. So the first review for the night is one called The Grim Sleeper. That's right, people. The Grim Sleeper. Now, between 1985 and 2007, there was a person who was out there who wasn't quite all there. I'm trying to be respectful for people who may still be around, who may be relatives. This person victimized the black community in South LA. They call it South LA, but at the time it was South Central LA. The Grim Sleeper documentary came out 2014, 2015, right? Co-produced by Nick and Barney Broomfield. Okay. It follows finding this person that these are his friends, right? But Lonnie Franklin, the Grim Sleeper. It follows how it was discovered who he was, how he was finally apprehended, how he was brought to justice, right? And that is what the Grim Sleeper documentary is about. Let's read the situation. Directors, a camera, and sound crew set out to discover who Lonnie Franklin, the Grim Sleeper, was to the community, how he helped and stalked the community, and why he was able to kill multiple women, how it took over 30 years to bring him to justice, and why he was found guilty of killing only 9 women, 1 teenager, and 1 black man. Wow. Right? But it's thought by the photographs that he has that he may have killed more than 100. Wow. He may be in one place. No, excuse me, not 100. Okay. 200. Because unlike the person last week, Samuel Little,
who killed 93 people,
who crossed across the
country
doing it, and they said that he was the most prolific. Unlike Samuel, he didn't draw. He took pictures of the women that he was involved with, right?
Right.
And so, just similar to Samuel, Samuel had a photographic memory. Okay. He had photographs, taking photos of the women that he was involved with. And it said that over 200 women were missing in South Central LA during that time, right? There were activists, female activists out there trying to get the LAPD to do their job, and the LAPD blew it off because they called them WHI. And what you want to know what WHI stands for?
What?
WHI stands for no human involved.
Wow.
Because they thought that they were either prostitutes, druggies, or they just were the indigent, homeless, and no one cared about them. But it was more than just prostitutes. He preyed on the community that he also helped.
Yeah, because a lot of the people in the community, wasn't he known for being like the handyman and helping out?
Mr.
Fix-It, yeah. You know, it was shocking when they found out he was the Grim Sleeper.
Yes, it was very shocking. And to see that American black women's lives are worth, basically considered worth nothing. WHI, no human involved. Right? This guy is a psychopath. Now, on the internet afterwards, you need to go and listen to the interrogation tape. The interrogation tape, the interrogators, the 2 detectives, you know, NYPD was slow. Then they put a movie out about it later, about the Grim. They called it the Grim Sleeper. And they made it seem like the LAPD was always up on it, right? But
I remember it was on Lifetime.
But it really wasn't. It was a female reporter that was trying to get them to pay attention to this, and she said, I think there's a serial killer happening. You know, serial killings happening, and it's a serial killer in South Central LA. And the police didn't do it, so she went to the community and told the black activists, like, this is one of the black activists here. right? And she told them that this was going on and to get the word out. So they started getting the word out, but the police did not believe and did not care. This guy was a sociopath. People, please, this is the reason why we're playing this, because this is the death season, right? This is the death season. When October comes in, that's the celebration, which is Halloween. But after that, it's the death season until the spring equinox, the spring solstice, and everything comes back to life. Right. This is the death period. And this is when strange things, when it's cold and the trees are bare and barren, that things seem to happen. Guard your loved ones. God, guard your children. Guard male and female children. Guard the women in your life. Guard your mother. Guard your daughters. Because there are strange people out there who will be smiling in the people's faces, and you will think that they are down for the cause, but they are really out. And it's really, he never told why he did it. I don't even think that he knew why he had that urge, why he wanted to do it. I think that he had some kind of demonic possession. It was something there, right? And the son, we have a video package that I cut up. So get ready for that, because this is not the documentary, but these are news reports, right? And we clip them together to give you a better story, a better understanding, middle standing, overstanding of the story. Plus, we have at the end a woman who actually survived one of his attacks, and she really lays out his MO. And viewer discretion is advised. There's nothing that's too shocking in this, but if you probably need your kids to know that there are people out there that do not mean them good, right? And so maybe they should watch this, but you watch it for sure. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this piece, and then of course we're going to stop in between for context. 213-943-3350, and of course we're going to come back with the review, the breakdown of the cinematography, etc., etc. But we're going to go right here first. So let's start it off.
Tonight, across Los Angeles, a handful of families are breathing a sigh of relief they've been holding in for nearly a quarter century.
Well, I'm joyful that that they have captured this guy, and they say they linked it through DNA, so we definitely got the right guy. So it's definitely going to bring my family some closure.
In September of 1988, 18-year-old Alicia Monique Alexander went to the liquor store near her house and never came home. Her body, murdered and raped, was found a few days later. Just one in a series of murders to haunt Los Angeles and eventually be linked to a serial killer called the Grim Sleeper.
He has been arrested. The district attorney's office is filing multiple counts. I believe at this time it's 10 counts of murder, one count of attempt murder.
He is 57-year-old Lonnie David Franklin Jr.
They're faces from the past, 180 of them. Some smiling, some sleeping, some may even be dead. Images collected by a suspected serial killer.
All of these people are potential victims?
Oh, geez, I hope not.
Let me pause that. This went on from 85 to 2007. The LAPD looked at it as WHI, no human involved. This could have been stopped. When you watch this documentary, it is so eerie because you can look at the photos and you can look at some of the photos. Some of them look sleep, but some of them look like he shot them, took the photograph after he killed them. They look dead. So it is so macabre and so just strange that this guy right here, right? It's just strange. It's just the weirdest thing, and the LAPD did nothing about it. Black women were out there talking. And who was in office at the time when all this was going on? Like, what political party was in office?
Was it the Republicans?
No.
Oh, no, Bush wasn't in office?
No, I'm talking about in the city. Who was the mayor at the time?
Oh, that's California. It's the Democratic mayor.
That's right. It was Democrat because Arnold Schwarzenegger hadn't got... But anyway.
Terminator, huh?
The Terminator. But anyway, look. There was a Democrat mayor with a Democrat government.
Wow. Oh, and they blew it off.
And they blew it off.
What?
Because they depend on your vote, but they blow you off when it's time. You need to go and research and find out when most of these things were happening, like Mike Brown, etc., etc. What government was running the municipality?
I see, I understand what you're saying, but sadly, some people just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't care until because they think it won't ever come to hit them. But it might, and you have to protect yourself, protect your children, protect your loved ones, protect the ones that are closest to you. Tell your people to protect their loved ones, protect the ones close to them. Let's continue on.
But they interacted with Lonnie Franklin at some point in their life.
Detective Dennis Kilcoyne of the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Unit says all of these images were taken from the home of Lonnie Franklin Jr., the man suspected to be the Grim Sleeper serial killer.
We searched every nook and cranny of this residence and the big commercial building that it had in the backyard. Vehicles, glove boxes, under seats, everywhere. We gathered cameras, videos, and all types of stuff from all over the property. We are dealing with probably decades of photography by this guy because he is obviously the cameraman.
And because Lonnie Franklin seems to have been the cameraman, police are treating each of these images as a mystery that needs to be solved.
Every one of these photos is going to be another story as to the life and times of Lonnie Franklin.
The serial killer known as the Grim Sleeper died in prison over the weekend. Lonnie Franklin Jr. was convicted of murdering 10 women, but suspected of killing so many more. NBC4's
Lonnie Franklin died in March of this year, 2020.
Wow.
Right? He died on what used to be death row in LA, in California, but no longer death row. He was sitting there and he passed. He was locked up and he passed in March of just this year. So we're cutting pieces to let you know what was happening back in 2010 when all this was kicking off. Then it bounces to now, and it goes back to around 2014, 2015 when the documentary came out. All right, so giving you context to the video. So he is no longer with us, but there are more people around who are like him. And when you watch that interrogation tape, you're gonna say this guy is a total psychopath, right? It's weird. But anyway, let's continue on.
I-Team reporter Eric Leonard joins us now with more on really the lingering mysteries in this case. Eric.
Well, Colleen, you'll remember that photographs of dozens and dozens of women were found when police searched Lonnie Franklin's home. And of course, years later, the police have never been able to identify or find many of those women, so they may never know the answer to what happened to them.
DNA evidence allegedly tied him to 10 murders dating back 25 years, most of them black women from South Central LA. The murderer was nicknamed the Grim Sleeper because he was dormant for 14 years until 2002 when he started to murder again. Is your working theory that this Grim Sleeper, as he's known, who was quiet, it seems, for 14 years, may not have been quiet for those years?
Well, I don't believe for a minute he was quiet. I mean, he was right here, lived in the same place.
You think he kept on killing?
Well, I don't know if he was killing, but I don't think Lonnie Franklin changed his stripes over a period of years. I think he's the same man he was 30 years ago.
Franklin's attorney strongly objects to the release of the photos on the grounds that making them public will prejudice the jury pool against him.
It's not just the photographs that were released to the public that's the problem. It's also the commentary that went along with the release by the public officials.
Mr. Franklin is accused of murdering at least 10 young women and 1 man in South Los Angeles, sending fear and terror throughout the streets of South LA.
At the news conference last week, the mayor and the police chief both spoke as though Lonnie Franklin had already been proven guilty.
These people are not suspects. We don't even know if they're victims. But we do know this. Lonnie Franklin's reign of terror in the city of Los Angeles, which spanned well over 2 decades.
Franklin died on what was California's death row at San Quentin State Prison, cause unknown, though there were no signs of trauma. With a moratorium on executions in California, it was unclear if the death sentence would ever have been carried out.
It's a relief to know that he's gone and that the victims' families that are still alive were able to see an end to that.
Prosecutor Beth Silverman tried the case against Franklin. She says she thinks it's unlikely he would ever reveal more information about how many other women he killed or what he did with their bodies.
And I'm fairly certain that Lonnie Franklin was going to take to the grave all of the information regarding the unprosecuted, unknown victims that we were never able to put together.
But there are significant questions heading into the trial, in part because the DNA that first led police to Franklin's doorstep wasn't his. It was his son's. Familial DNA, it's called, yeah?
It's called familial DNA because it is the DNA not of the ultimate suspect, but of a very, very close relative.
Authorities in the LAPD's cold case unit processed DNA from the crime scenes and looked for a match in the state's DNA database. In California, anyone arrested for a felony must give a DNA sample, whether or not they're ever charged or convicted. In this case, the match came back positive for a relative of the suspect. Police then narrowed down the list of possible relatives before zeroing in on Lonnie Franklin. It's the first time familial DNA has ever been used to try and solve a murder case. But authorities had no DNA sample from Franklin, so they staked him out until they got one.
And what was it? A slice of pizza, I think a fork, there was a napkin. It was a total of I think 8 different items that they submitted to us.
And that was enough?
It turned out to be enough, yes.
Enough, allegedly, to match DNA from the crime scenes. But
you know how they say dead men tell no tales? Well, that's not true anymore.
No.
That's not true because the DNA is there and you can find out what's happening. If you do something, if you do the crime, get ready to do the time because they have it all laid out for you to do the time, especially if you're American black. All right, here we go.
Will it hold up in court? If Lonnie Franklin is convicted, it could mean a nationwide expansion of familial DNA.
This will change the way policing is done in the United States.
And if the case suddenly becomes much bigger, with new victims identified among these women, then the focus will be more intense than ever. As soon as the LAPD posted these photos last Thursday, the response was huge.
Within a matter of hours, well into the millions of hits. It was pretty mind-boggling to me.
LAPD robbery homicide.
There have been hundreds of phone calls, too, each of them providing a lead that now needs to be followed up, each one a potential clue into the mind of a serial killer.
You know, these guys, they do strange things, and you know, sometimes they take pictures, sometimes they leave a mark, sometimes they call the police and tell on themselves. It's a whole science to that, I'm sure. but not for me.
Reportedly a mechanic for an LAPD station near the epicenter of the murder spree. After all these years, the police never gave him so much as a glance until now.
Know that I have 4 kids, I have about 8 nieces and nephews, and we come out here riding bikes and everything, knowing that there was a serial killer right here. I mean, what can you say, man? It's scary.
The arrest was a long shot even by cold case detective standards. Because the suspect was clean, he had no DNA to match as part of a massive million-sample sweep of the state's felon database. Enter a technique called familial DNA. When the suspect's son was reportedly arrested in another matter and swabbed for DNA, detectives were blindsided by what they say was a partial match linking back 2 decades to the Grim Sleeper case. That link from a son to his father broke the case.
So Franklin's case was the first solved in LA County using familial DNA test techniques. Although the coroner or the State Department of Corrections says there was no obvious trauma, an autopsy is being done. Incidentally, prison officials tell us there are no known cases of coronavirus at the prison San Quentin where Lonnie Franklin died.
My name is Mom.
Up next is a young woman who survived an attack from Lonnie, right? And what were you about to say something?
No, I was just thinking about how he worked on the trucks or the different engines for the police department, right?
Yeah.
He was like right in their backyard.
Right there. Just hey, here I am. Right?
Yeah.
And so you see how eerie this is. It's like it's in the past, but it's relevant still even to today in 2020. It's weird, so that's why I cut it so you can see the justification. So here's this woman, and so she's going to tell her story. She's 51 years old now, and you know I'm sure she's glad to have survived. You know what she survived, right? Yeah. And so let me bring this down. I don't know how I did that. No, she's happy to have survived what she survived, right? So let's bring her here. And we'll start right here. All right.
At the prison San Quentin where Lonnie Franklin died.
My name is Monica Hunter. I'm from Louisiana, and I've been out here since I was 7. One night, I was going to my mother-in-law's house on 64th and Central to a tug-of-war party. So I left my house about at 9. I just had twins, 1986. And I told my old man to watch the kids. I left the money with him, but I had a little money in my pocket. So the bus was taking so long. So I'm like, by the time I get to the tug-of-war party, it's gonna be over with. So the dude was coming down the street in a yellow Pinto, and he was driving real slow, a black brother. So I'm like, oh, shoot. He said, you wanna ride? I said, yes, I will take a ride, sir. And he said, I just got off work. So he opened up the door to let me in. He was nice to me at first when I got in the car. Next thing I know, we hit 108. He hit the corner so fast. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He like, well, don't worry about what I'm doing, because when I get over here, you gonna find out what I'm doing. I said, sir, I'm not out to try to make no money. All I wanna do is get to the tug-of-war party. He said, oh no, you ain't going nowhere. And he got the screwdriver out the glove department. He was shaking. He said, when I open up this door, you get out and you get butt naked. By the time I got out the door, the sheet was laying right down the side of the car. By the door where I walked out on my side, the trash bins, 2 trash bins was sitting right behind me. And I'm like,
he had an MO. He had the sheet right there at the curb. So when he pulled up, the person would get out, get naked. He would do what he did, kill them, roll them up, and throw them into a. I mean, this is just harrowing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's guard your children.
Yes, be safe. Like, don't go anywhere by yourself at night. Do not get in the car
with strangers. I mean, that's just a no-no. Here we go.
What are you finna do to me? Shut the fuck up. And I'm like, oh Lord, I done messed up. So I said, oh Lord, I don't know what to do. I said, I just hope he just rape me and just let me go, you know? I hope he don't kill me. He was in his trunk digging for something. And I was sitting on the seat on the passenger side, taking my clothes off, waiting to lay down on the sheet. And when he came out the trunk, that's when the dude was walking down the street making a noise saying, I got it, I remember that word. And I'm like, he got what? And I looked, I'm like, help, excuse me, sir, could you help me? And I got to screaming and hollering. When I got to screaming and hollering, he dropped the screwdriver. Then that's when I started running. I had one pants leg out. When I started running, girl, he came right in his car, right behind me. He was chasing me and I was scared. I was hitting all kinds of corners and stuff. So I'm hollering, I'm screaming with half of clothes on, and I made it to my house. And I'm like, this man know where I live at. He gonna come back and get me. So I went to the house authorities to tell him about it. He was on a billboard. They said, girl, you know what? You ran into that man that's out killing all these black women, supposed to be prostitutes.
What stopped you from going to the police?
It was too late, probably, I think. I thought they said after 24 hours you can't complain or tell nobody about nothing. I've been through a lot of stuff before then, but not like this, you know, but not like that. But, you know, just open containers, going back and forth to jail. I never told them nothing about it, you know. So when I found out he got caught, I look at him on TV, I just said, he's in God's hand now. You know, God gonna take care of him now, because it's too late for me to tell my story. This was in 1986. And I look at it and I go back there and look at that trash bins back there and look down on the ground and just think about what could have happened to me that night, you know. That's where they probably would have found blood of me dead at.
That is a harrowing story.
Yes.
It is shocking.
Yeah.
Right? You have to see this documentary to get the details, right? The tale of the Grim Sleeper, right? Documentary. You can see it on Amazon Prime, right? So let's go through it. The cinematography, which is in documentary style, that's a 10. Storyline, through line, building the story, introducing you to murders first and then getting you to understand who Lonnie Franklin was, his life, his dynamic, being married, right? We're not going to give you too much. That's a 10. Sound and editing, cutting through newspaper clippings, news reports, and also using and interviewing people on the fly, with the miking and the editing of all of that, that is a 10. The character arc, building Lonnie Franklin as a character, first building him as someone who you would never expect, and then revealing him as who he is, or who he was, is a 10. Developing Lonnie, that's a 10. Wardrobe and set, that is, you know, showing you the images. That would be more like the images and setting and showing the inside of his house, which was kind of hoardish. That's a 10. The locations that they show you where all this was happening, that's a 10. Story beats, connecting the dots, that's a 10. Believability. Did you believe, or would you believe that this guy is the Grim Sleeper? Believability is a 10. Historic facts about South Central LA, South LA now, is a 10. The Grim Sleeper, what would you give the Grim Sleeper?
I would give it a 10 because the documentary, there wasn't any dullness, or it wasn't boring. From beginning to end, it was interesting. Interesting interviews, the interviews with his friends, neighbors. This was, what happened to these women was just horrible. And it was just like, it was enlightening because it just shows you never know who could be a killer.
Who could be a killer.
So, I mean, just like they tell us this when we are children in elementary school, you know. It's kind of like basically don't talk to strangers, you know. At night, I don't even think men should, you know, walk the streets. Or walk the streets at night, you know, by themselves, because a few weeks ago, we saw on the social media this young man at night was just going to his local convenience store when he was beat and robbed.
Yeah.
You know, walking alone. So, and this woman was, getting ready to go to a Tupperware party at 9 p.m., and he offers her a ride and she gets in his car. So just everybody just be safe out there. I mean, because you just never know. You never know.
And you got to get the context. The context of the time is well laid out in detail. The Tale of the Grim Sleeper is a 10.
Yeah,
all right,
10.
Cool. So our next review is one by Nicole Kidman, right? Yeah. It's called The Undoing. It's a mini-series, 2020. It's showing on HBO, right?
Yep.
Cast, Nicole Kidman. Grace, she portrays Grace Fraser. Hugh Grant is Jonathan Fraser.
Right.
Noah Japie is Henry Fraser. Donald Sutherland is Frank Reinhardt. My writing is atrocious. Edgar Ramirez is Joe Mendoza, right? Okay. And my writing. Matilda De Angelis is Alina Alves, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Joe Mendoza is a detective that is trying to figure out the case. Okay. There's something that happens, and we're going to get to that in a minute, right?
Okay.
Ishmael
Cruz Cordova.
I cannot read my own writing. Fernando Alves, right? And Eden Alexander is Marquel Alves, right?
Okay.
This little boy is very pivotal in this story because he discovers something that would be heartbreaking and heart-wrenching for anyone to discover. Yeah. All right? So a woman must sort out the murder of a recent acquaintance at the same time of the disappearance of her husband while keeping herself and her son safe from accusations of her involvement in the murder, right? When you watch The Undoing, right? You will, first of all, we're going to tell you that the way that the suspense is set up, it's kind of like Body Double. If you've ever seen that movie Body Double, it seems kind of strange, except for Nicole Kidman is the one that the woman who is murdered kind of gravitates towards in a strange way, and she's kind of like trying to seduce the character that Nicole Kidman is playing. She's trying to seduce her in such strange ways.
Yeah. Once you see this episode, this was it episode 2 maybe?
That was episode 1 that she was done.
Because you'll find out why.
Episode 2, because she's looking for her husband.
Right.
So episode 2, you find out where the husband is.
Why she's so obsessed with the Nicole Kidman.
Right. So, it is a great suspense thriller, right? It's drama in it,
right?
And it's going to play out, and it's a whodunit. Yeah. It's a whodunit thriller, drama, suspense.
Yeah.
And the way that the body is laid out, right? And the
grotesque.
violent nature in which the murderer leaves the body, it is definitely would be considered a crime of passion, right? And then it leaves the question: did Hugh Jackman's character do this? So that's the
it's like a whodunit, like you said.
Right. Yeah. Would he have done that? Once you find out the circumstances, It's plausible.
I don't think
It's probable, but is it possible?
Because there are so many suspects, and that's what I love about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And because growing up, I love playing the game Clue, right? So it's a whodunit game, and you have to figure out who did the murder and what room they did it in and what tool they used to murder the person with. And so this is like seriously a whodunit. It reminds me of it's kind of like Nicole Kidman's other series that she was in on HBO. Was it
Pretty Little Fires or
Pretty Big Lies?
Pretty Big Lies. That's what it was.
Little Big Lies. I'm gonna look it up.
I think so.
But the thing about Nicole Kidman is she's another one that goes on my list of like actors that you can bank on. She's somebody you don't even have to have seen the preview or know what the film is about or the project or anything. You just go watch it and you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, you know it's going to be good.
Because she does a great job as well. Like we were talking about Denzel Washington and Chadwick Boseman, right? Like Nicole Kidman, she does a really great job. Oh, Joaquin Phoenix and Jake Gyllenhaal also though, right? Mm-hmm. She does a great job picking the right script.
She does. Because
I have never seen her in a crappy movie.
Never. Nicole Kidman. So when we automatically saw it, and plus Hugh Jackman is a perfect fit for this. Not to go back in time, but you remember the situation with, what was her name? Brown. Delicious Brown. Desiree, something like that. Yeah. Brown. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's water under the bridge now, but he's perfect for this, for people who remember that, and that's kind of back in your memory.
Big Little Lies.
So when it's back in your memory, you say, yeah, I can see this dude doing this crap, right?
Right.
So look, let's break down the various aspects of the miniseries.
Okay.
Cinematography. The way that this story is told is in no way pedestrian whatsoever. The images, there's a film that we're getting ready to review later. That the images and the storytelling through cinematography is definitely not pedestrian, but neither is this. This is a 10. Storyline, through line is a 10.
Okay.
Sound and editing, because you got to put in the sound effects, right? And the way that they're cutting in people's visions in their dreams and using those and using the music and mixing it all together, it's a 10, right? The pacing, it's very important that I add and say that pacing within the sound and the editing, the pacing on this, it seems like it's slow because it's introducing you to every aspect, every character, so that you can get a sense of personality.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so you can say, well, this person could have done it, and how come she's just telling her this now? So it's like certain things. So the pacing on it, once it takes off, though, it takes off, right? But it's really moving at a really great pace from the very beginning. But when it takes off, it picks up. That's a 10. Character arc, 10. Acting skill, the emoting, the close-ups. Nicole Kidman, killing it. Hugh Jackman showing deceit on his face as he's talking is a 10. Wardrobe and sets are a 10. They're definitely in the upper 1%.
Yeah.
Right? Location is a 10. The story beats, connecting through flashback and through what happened in real time to something that's in the present, connecting the dots, that's a 10. Believability. Could this have happened? Right? There's something about it in believability that I gave it an 8.
Oh, Oh, an 8?
I gave it an 8 on believability. It's something about it that I just said.
Okay.
You know, believability is an 8.
Okay.
Historical facts, right? You know, dealing with the historical facts. That's a 10.
Okay.
So what would you give? No, wait, I'm on the wrong. Okay, wait a minute, I didn't turn the page. Okay, look. Believability is a 10 on this. I'm looking at the wrong film. Historical fact is a 10. So what would you give Undoing?
So overall, since you was looking at the wrong thing, what's the number that you would give?
Everything I just said, believability.
So you would give this
10.
movie a 10?
No, I'm asking you what you give it.
Oh, I would definitely give it a 10.
That's right. I give it a 10.
I mean,
also
because Nicole Kidman is a great actress, so she's one of my favorites. You know who I didn't mention earlier? Another actor on the list too. Lakeith Stanfield. His acting is superb as well.
He makes good decisions on his
great
films.
decisions on his films.
I don't know about Black Jesus and Judas, but
that's gonna be good because with those two great actors, him and
the Black Messiah and
it's gonna
Judas,
be great.
I don't know.
Because if you haven't seen Sorry to Bother You, that was one of the first films we reviewed with Lakeith Stanfield. Check it out, it's great. Okay. So Nicole Kidman, the acting is great. All of the actors, because it's like a whodunit, right? Suspense thriller. So it's her and a bunch of her associates and then her husband. And I mean, the ensemble, great acting across the board. I love New York as a backdrop, like the heartbeat of the city, because you see
city is a character.
The city is definitely a character because you see her running and walking around more so than you see her in a vehicle, right?
And you be like, what is she walking around New York and must be safe in them upper echelon 1%,
right? You know, so the cinematography is great. The writing is great because, like, we was just sitting here talking about who we think might have done it. You said maybe the husband. I don't think it's the husband because it would be just too simple for it to be the husband. It's more complex.
It's more complex. They're ruining lives here. They're ruining lives. So.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a good series. So I can't wait to see part 3.
His irresponsibility, we'll say.
Very.
We'll give you that much.
Yeah.
Of it, right? That it's his irresponsibility, right? So look. The Undoing, I give it a 10. All right,
I give it a 10.
So moving right along, we have the next film, which is a classic film, Stars in My Crown.
Yeah.
It's a Joel McCrea film, right? It is a classic. It's a classic film, right? So let's see. Starring Joel McCrea as Joshua, right? Joano Hernandez is Uncle Famous. Joano Hernandez as Uncle Famous. He is a black actor that plays dignified roles.
Yes.
Every role that we see him in, he is dignified. You know, surprisingly during that time period, right?
Yep.
James Mitchell is Dr. Daniel Harris Jr. Alan Hale is Judd Isbell. Ed Begley is Lon Beckett. Now, Ed Begley, he played in 12 Angry Men, right? As the one that was just so disagreeable. They seemed to give him these bigot parts, and I wonder if it was something in his personality makeup where they continue to give him these bigot roles. But again, here he is in this film, Stars in My Crown, 1950 Western, as a bigot. Dean Stockwell as John. Now, Dean Stockwell, you may know him as older, but in this film, he is a little boy. Yeah. We know who Dean Stockwell is. Now, get some of the films that Dean Stockwell has played in recently, but you know Dean Stockwell, right? But in this film, he is a little boy, about maybe 9 or 10, right?
Yeah.
He is a little boy, 9 or 10, and he came all the way up through the ranks, through teenagers, through adulthood, to up to now to where he is. He is an excellent actor, and he was an excellent actor in this. And
we know him from like the film Dune, Blue Velvet, Tucker, The Man in His Dream, Married to the Mob, The Player, The Rainmaker, The Last Movie. He's been in tons of films, Sons and Lovers.
He is
over 70 years, they said, in film.
He's a quintessential actor, and you know, being a child actor, there were some things that. But anyway, we won't speculate. But anyway.
You know, and I was just mentioning films because I don't even like on television. Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Combat, Bonanza, Mannix, Columbo, Mission Impossible, Night Gallery, Police Story, McCloud. I could go on and on. Heart to Heart, A-Team.
He's a character
Miami
actor.
Vice.
He's a character actor, right?
Yeah, it's
and
like
then,
tons.
Then Marshall Thompson plays the narrator. The story is told through the John character played by Dean Stockwell's, through his eyes as a child, being remembered by the narrator, who is Marshall Thompson, playing the John character, narrating the whole piece. He's the reliable narrator, right?
Right.
So here's the synopsis. A once gunslinging, now reformed parson must find a way to keep the townsfolk on the straight and narrow through the good book while avoiding typhoid fever and a lynching.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
A lot going on. It's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
It is a movie from the 1950s that surprisingly stands up, and you will be on the edge of your seat when certain things are going on. Stars in My Crown, right? It is a great movie to watch. You will be on the edge of your seat. You will love it, right? We saw it on Turner Movie Classics, but it's also available on YouTube and also on Amazon Prime,
and
right?
Hulu too, it says.
And Hulu, right? I was about to say that, but I wanted to give two. But thank you. Thank you. So, cinematography, let's break this down. Cinematography is a 10. The storyline through line surprisingly stands up to today, which makes it a classic. It's a 10. Stars in My Crown, 1950 Western. You have to see it. Sound and editing and pacing. Sound and editing pacing is a 10. The pacing on it, it moves right along. There's no doldrums in it. Character arc. You see each character take an arc. The little boy takes an arc. The parson takes an arc. The doctor in the town that's coming in to replace someone is a 10. You have to see all this. It's acting skill and emoting skills. The mid angle and close-ups on this and the over-the-shoulder shots really give the opposite actor the opportunity to shine, right, up against the protagonist, right? Wardrobe and set, it looks like a Western, feels like a Western, feels like you're back in that time. Doesn't feel like it's 1950s at all, right? So that's pretty good. Locations that they shot this, which are probably sets on the studio, is a 10. Story beats, connecting what happened previously. There's a story about typhoid fever and connecting the dots on that. That's beautifully done. So it's multiple things going on in this town with an ensemble cast driven by Joel McCrea. and that's a 10. Believability. Okay, this is the movie where I gave believability an 8 because there is a lynch scene in it, right? And there are certain elements of the lynch scene that just don't ring as realistic. The setup to the lynching doesn't ring true. And you just have to see the movie and then you can rate that for yourself. But overall, it's a good movie. It's not something that's going to throw you off from the movie. But you're going to say, would that really happen? The Knight Rider, would the Knight Riders really do that? You know, so that's an 8.
Okay.
Historic facts. The historic facts. The guy, there's a silver vein that is running through, and the Hernandez, Uncle Famous, his land, he owns this land.
Which is believable.
Right? He owns this land, but there's a silver vein that's running through his land, and the character, the Beckett character, wants to pay him under $1 an acre, right? And so you just have to see it, and you're like, well, this is telling the story about how black people lost their land.
Right.
Right? So the historic fact on that is a 10.
Yeah.
So what would you give Stars in My Crown?
You know, I would give it a 10. It's a great film. I love all of the acting. And what really stood out, I had the cast up when you were. Now I'm looking for it.
The new phones are just going haywire these days.
Was it Juano Hernandez? I love how to see how he was embraced by his community, because it was two different sides to. He was embraced by his community. You know, he seems to have been there for like years because a lot of the townspeople know him. A sweet elderly, black man who owns property. He's providing jobs to the community. So you have that storyline, which is a great storyline.
And he teaches. It's kind of like a Huck Finn.
Yeah.
And what's the slave in Huck Finn?
See, I wasn't really big on that one, so I don't. Was it Tom Sawyer or something like that?
Well, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn had a friend, had the slave, and he was trying to get him to freedom. I forget. I wasn't much on Mark Twain myself, but it's a kind of a element, except for he's not a slave, he's a free man. But he has that friendship. Yeah. They kind of like took the Huck Finn, and I can't think boy, if someone knows the name of that particular slave in the Huck Finn, put it in there so we can read it. But
let me
go ahead.
So but the typhoid, that story, it kind of made me think of what we're dealing with today, like this pandemic, this whole coronavirus thing. So they were dealing with that, and then so it was a lot of elements in this film. And then you had a new doctor in the community. A lot of people didn't respect him because he was younger, and they were used to the older doctor, right? So you have so many elements going on in this town. And again, like the older black gentleman, right? Although there were people in the community who respected him, then you had the other side. You had Ku Klux Klan members who wanted to take over his property.
What do they call them? Night Riders.
So the Night Riders. So it was just like multiple stories going on at once, and
there were love stories. Two love stories,
right? So coming of age too. The little friends. Little boys. So I mean, it was well written.
It was complex for 1950.
Yeah, because the character. I just want to say quickly. I love how they wrote him with dignity, which was like rare during that period.
Well, maybe they didn't write him with dignity. And what's his name?
Juan
Hernandez. Juan Hernandez.
Right.
He plays it with dignity. Maybe he got him to play it with dignity. I remember I was out here and I was acting in a person's piece, and they were saying that my character was supposed to be the comic relief.
Right.
And it was for the 48-hour film project.
Okay.
And I listened to what he said, but I played him straight.
Right.
Which caused the second character, Crime Boss 1. I was Crime Boss 1, and then there was a Crime Boss 2, Asian kid, and made him play Goofy.
Okay.
And I played it straight, and it stood out to the people here. Because usually they have the American blacks, just my observation, playing buffoonery. And so when you see someone who plays a character, so maybe he took the role and the way he played it with the way he delivered the lines instead of the, well, sir,
he definitely played it with dignity.
He could have played, well, sir, well, sir, well, sir. No, he said, no, sir, it's my land, and I would just like to keep my land. It's the only thing that I have. Right. And then, so he played it, but if he said, yes, sir, I just need to keep my land. Yes, what you want, Amos? You know, it's gonna be a lot of that minstrel show. We got all these minstrel videos. But anyway, another story for another time. Okay, so you gave it a 10?
Definitely.
Okay, so stars in my crown because of the believability of the setup to the lynch scene. I gave that part an 8, but other than that, it's a 9.8 because of that in averages. So it's overall, it's a great film to watch. You will love it. Okay, next film up, people.
Velvet Buzzsaw.
The Velvet Buzzsaw, right?
Yeah.
The Velvet Buzzsaw. Now, cast: Jake Gyllenhaal is Moff Vanderwalt, right? Renee Russo is Rodera Hayes.
Right.
Rodonra Hayes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Rodora. I can't read my writing. And then I can't read the Z.
Zal Ashton.
Zal Ashton
She's
is Josephina.
Yeah.
Tony Collette is Gretchen. David Diggs. Now, you know David Diggs has been in quite a few films since Blind Spotting. Remember we reviewed Blind Spotting like a year and a half ago. 2 years ago, right? We reviewed that, right?
And most recently, we've seen him in, he played Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, he played Frederick Douglass in Good Lord Bird.
Yeah.
John Malkovich is Piers. Natalie Dreyer is Coco, right? Coco is an interesting character.
Yeah, she is.
She's a character that is a label hopper, and that's what we'll say about that. Okay, so synopsis. A collection of art is found by a wannabe social status hopping, wanting to compete, ambitious art curator's assistant.
Right.
But at what cost? I can't read my own writing. Well, at what cost does the art? At what cost to the art world are the pieces sold?
Okay.
All right. So a collection of art is found by a wannabe social status hopping, wanting to compete, ambitious art curator's assistant. But at what cost to the art world are the pieces sold? Right? So this young lady finds these art pieces, right? In the most unusual way.
Unusual.
Now, what makes this film so great is it's about the art world, the painting, the art world, and it is anything but pedestrian. I mean, you can look at just the trailer alone and tell how they're telling the story with images of POV. Right? It's a Sundance favorite. And the imagery and the angles that they use to tell the story is anything but pedestrian. I was sitting up there watching the film. I was like, oh man, this is beautiful. The way that they shot this film. The different lens sizes. You can see it right here in the trailer. You can see how it's done and how the story is told to you. It's not just one single shot in the person. It's like switching and moving angles, but it's just the right degree of excellence. If I want to give a film something where I would say, I want to give a film where I would say that it's excellent, I would say that Velvet Buzzsaw, with its use of images, size images, the use of lighting, the use of color to tell the story, to give the emotion, it's a 10. Right? The cinematography is a 10, right? Automatically off the rip. The storyline, through line. After they set it up so beautiful. Nice. They set it up. The woman, the Josephina woman has a dramatic need. There's a initiating event. They show you her dramatic need first. Then they give you the initiating event. And then from there, the story moves forward. It is beautifully shot with an ensemble cast, and each ensemble cast member has a dramatic need and a initiating event. That's what makes this so good. Like when Russo's character enters the room, right? The Hayes woman enters her assistant's room, soon to be former assistant, and returns to partner. Her dramatic need is heard, and that's the initiating event when she sees what she sees. So each one has their initiating event and dramatic need within this ensemble cast, right? So I mean, it's beautifully done. It's not pedestrian at all, right? So the storyline through line is a 10. Sound and editing, the pacing on it is superb. That's a 10. Character arc. Each one of the characters' arc. You just have, I'm not going to give anything away. That's a 10.
Too great to give away.
Acting skill, the emoting, the close-up when Jake Gyllenhaal
and Toni Collette, that scene.
When Jake Gyllenhaal is up close and he's starting to see things. The character is starting to see things. The Vanderwalt. When he's starting to see things, he takes it there, and he is out acting Russo in many of the scenes, right? That's a 10, right? Wardrobe and sets, showing the painter, not the painter, but the art world, and then the clothing that goes along with being an art presenter, curator, beautifully done, right? Locations, using the city as a location, that's a 10. Story beats, by far, that's a 10. Believability on the horror, definitely believable, that's a 10. Historic facts, going back and researching the historic fact of this artist and using historic references within the city that they're in to tell the story, that's a 10. So what would you give Velvet Buzzsaw?
an easy 10. Again, just like we spoke about earlier, we saw that Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, so we said, okay, we know this is going to be good because he does a really great job picking scripts. So, like, the surrounding actors, like the supporting cast, just beautiful. And we talked about when we were watching the film, you said, look at the scene, look at her eyes, look how she's emoting Toni Collette, and the scene between her and Jake Gyllenhaal was just superb because it was just like all in like the eyes. It was like subtle. Her acting was so subtle, but it did show her dramatic need was like all in her face.
And you could see his disgust at what she was asserting to him, and it was subtle on his face. And so they were playing opposite. They were giving and taking. He was sending bass, she was sending back mid-range. And then he just totally took the scenes from Russo, right?
So it's just like the acting, the dialogue. I love, like you said, the way the film begins. It's like it's subtle. You know, you're introduced to all the characters and in the relationships that they have with each other, and then it gradually opens up until you kind of. I don't want to give it away because it's titled as like I can see the drama part, but it's a horror drama, so I can see the horror part
in it too. And it's suspense in it too.
Yeah, it is. It's suspense in it too. Well written.
So that's a 10 for you?
It's definitely a 10 because I'm going to tell you, I have never ever seen a film like this. Have you? I mean, like where the worlds collide.
Yeah, the worlds are colliding.
Like just like a drama suspense, like a fashion world, like art gallery, and
the treachery of art.
The treachery of art, and then all of a sudden they drop in a bomb of horror out of the blue, and it's believable.
It's believable.
It's believable.
And once you see the Coco character, you feel sorry for her.
Yeah, because poor thing.
Poor thing. So, Velvet Buzzsaw is a 10. Yeah. You have to see it. All right. So
it's in a genre all of its own.
So the last film of the night does not have a trailer. It's really interesting that they did not make a trailer for this. I searched, and I guess they said they didn't need a trailer because it's Dolly Parton, and so they didn't need a trailer for that, right? So the last film for the night is Here I Am, Dolly Parton on Netflix. It came out in 2019. Let's see. Dolly Parton as herself, Mac Davis as self, Jane Fonda as self, Lily Tomlin as self, Porter Wagner through what they call archive footage, self, Linda Perry, self, right? So let's go through what the synopsis of this is. The rise, decline, and return of Dolly Parton from childhood to 21 to her worldwide fame and acclaim to the slowdown to the maintain to a successful life. This documentary covers it all. Right? So when you find out so many things about Dolly Parton, right? Akita's Garden said 100, 100, 100. Thank you so much. That's on the YouTube chat, right? So look, you learn so much about Dolly Parton in this documentary on Netflix, right? You will be entertained because the music is good, right? She comes back from the hills of Tennessee, right? And she raises to the point to where she rescues her family members, right? I mean, it's just an awesome story. It's like it's the same story. They're in the hills of Tennessee, no way out. Right. Same thing that's happening, like how they have the opiate now. Right. the alcoholism, etc., 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 right? That wasn't touched, but that's what's happening in Appalachia. That's what's happening to the mountain people, right? Same type of thing that's happening to another group of people that they're trying to forget, which is American blacks. So you have the situation with drugs, alcoholism, etc., etc.
Unemployment, right?
Unemployment. They have unemployment, right? And so it's similar, and so you can appreciate the story because of that similarity, right? So Dolly Parton, Here I Am, plus the music is good, plus you have a cameo by Whitney Houston, right? Because if you did not know,
what's
the name of the song? What's the name of the song?
I Will Always Love You.
I Will Always Love You.
And I love how Dolly Parton, she said that, what did she say? That song made me, what did she say? Rich.
She made me rich.
She said Whitney made me
someone
rich.
asked her, the person who was doing the documentary asked her, you didn't hear it, but her response was in full sentences. So you can say, so the person must have asked her and said, did you feel any kind of way with Whitney Houston singing your song that you had such a big hit with? And you had to listen to what she had to say, right? And it's just real good, and it goes through how she creates songs because she is a prolific songwriter, and she loves being famous. Right? Not so much a celebrity. She doesn't do the celebrity thing, but she loves being famous. She's there with her fans. Her fans love her. She goes to the grocery store, you know, as Dolly, right? And so it's a real great piece to watch, to learn and hear about something that you usually don't hear about if you're American black, right? Hear some music, learn where some music was reinterpreted to make a big hit for the Bodyguard.
I love when they asked her which did she love more, like singing and writing, and she said her passion is in the writing. She loves to write, and she's wrote so many beautiful songs that she's performed, as well as other artists, right? And it's a really, really great documentary because those who are fans will just love her even more because she has such a beautiful spirit, and she's a businesswoman, you know, and she's just the all around like package. She's not just a performer, you know. Behind this performer is a writer and a businesswoman. She has her own amusement park, right? Dollywood. And speaking of Dollywood, when she found out that like one of the statues was one of a Confederate soldier, right? And the first thing she did is when they came to her about it, she said, okay, well, remove it. I don't want that represented, you know, at my amusement park. So she didn't even have to think twice.
Right.
You know,
she didn't have to think twice.
Yeah.
Right? So look, Tanya M. Congress, what's going on to Tanya M. Congress? She's been chiming in all night. You know, we do our show Monday through Friday. We produce our show Monday through Friday.
Observations.
9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on the Film Review Life channel. Make sure that you subscribe and you're there. We hit information that most definitely one day might save your life. But anyway, she asked, what network is the Grim Sleeper and the Undoing on? The Grim Sleeper is on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the Undoing is on
HBO.
HB.
And then the Velvet Buzz.
The Velvet Buzzsaw
We didn't
is
say
Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here I Am, Dolly Parton, Netflix.
Yeah.
And of course, the movie Stars in My Crown 1950. You can see that it was Turner Movie Classics, but you can also see Hulu,
and then you named some other places.
Right, and Amazon, right? Okay. So let's see. Cinematography on Here I Am, Dolly Parton. Cinematography is a 10.
Yes.
Storyline, through line, going from her being a wee pup up into adulthood.
Right.
Is a 10.
Right.
Sound recording, very important. Catching those classic moments of what was happening in the Tennessee Hills and being able to mix it and make it sound great to correspond with modern sound today. That's a 10.
Yeah.
Character arc, how she arced from being wet behind the ears, 21-year-old coming into her own, into the juggernaut that she is today.
Yeah.
That is a 10. Her ability within 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
To act and emote, and she had never taken any acting lessons.
Really?
But Jane Fonda made sure the character was wrote especially for her.
Oh, that was nice.
Right? And it would fit it. She said, well, that's just me, so I'll just play it. And that's a 10. Wardrobe and sets, right? Her sets for her shows were excellent. And the wardrobe and her wigs, man.
Oh, yeah.
Those blonde wigs. Like the way the blonde wigs going, you can't tell where her line starts and where it's a 10. Locations that they showed you from the Tennessee Hills to Nashville to global around the world. That's a 10.
Yeah.
The storyline. I don't know how I got that twice, but storyline twice. But anyway, we're going to skip that. Believability, right?
Yeah.
Believability. Oh no, story beats. I don't know why I said storyline. Story beats, connecting her youth to adulthood, to success for the day, and how those lessons built her for right now. That's a 10. Believability is a 10. Historical facts, again, talking about the Tennessee Hills and what was going on up there at the time as she was coming up. That's a 10. What would you give Here I Am?
I would definitely give it a 10 for all the reasons you said. But I'm glad you mentioned the 9 to 5 because her acting. That's another thing. Like you said, she is a juggernaut because she just masters everything across the board. Music, business, as well as in acting. And she is in one of my favorite films, Steel Magnolia.
Steel Magnolia.
Yeah,
right?
you know, and she was also in 2012. She starred in Joyful Noise with Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her acting ability it cannot be questioned at this point.
No.
She just does it. So you gave it a 10.
Yeah.
Here I Am, Dolly Parton, 2019, on Netflix, documentary. I give it a 10.
Is she the only celebrity with an amusement park? I can't think of anybody else that has one. I think she is.
That would have to be researched.
I'm thinking she is. Yeah.
So people,
she's to be reckoned with. She's a boss.
I'll say so. We have come to an end of another broadcast, and it is jam-packed. Remember, we come on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Available on all of the streaming podcast platforms. You can get us there, right? And don't forget, on Mondays through Fridays, it's hashtag Observations TFR. That's me. That's my sister and I. As we discuss topics and provide information. Wow.
That's what I love about Observations is that it comes on daily and you're hitting all of the topics, all the news topics, just everything that's going on, right? And then what I love is how people can call up and comment.
That's right.
And today, in this world of COVID, right, where it's very little movement between maybe going to work, going to the grocery store, back home, I'm glad that people have a platform where they can just pick up the phone and just talk and just get a lot of stuff off their chest, and they can chime in on the different topics and stuff daily, Monday through Friday.
That's right, Monday through Friday.
Oh, before we end, we talk about music too, but definitely you were saying people need to pick up that new Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorites is the song with him and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah. So look, people, you can hear us on all of these various formats.
Yes.
iHeartRadio,
yep.
Apple Podcasts,
Right.
Spotify,
Right.
Google Podcasts.
Right.
We are everywhere that you want to be. Of course, YouTube on the Film Review Life channel.
Yes.
Make sure you subscribe. We want to see 10 new subscribers.
Yes.
Smash the like button, smash the share button, because again, we have produced another show.
Yes.
We have produced another show that saves you pocket revenue. The reviews save you pocket revenue at the theater, but now it's on demand.
Yes.
Right?
Trying to keep you safe.
That's right. So, people, we will see you next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on another episode of
The Film Review.
Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. The Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society Podcast. We are your husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society on this podcast. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Google it. Watch it. And listen to all of the shows. And we will see you again next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Before we go, I always think of these things at last minute. On Versus. Outkast versus Tribe Called Quest.
That's right.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great. All right, people. So we will see you next Sunday.
The Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society Podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching The Film Review.